Welcome everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It is time for tea, and so very happy you're all here. So happy I'm here. It has been a bit of a week, to say the least. Life happens, and we are merely the witnesses of it. And everything that happens in our lives is an invitation to let go of the I, let go of the sense of doership, the sense of the sufferer, the sense of the one who disagrees with life as it's actually happening and insists on it being the way we want it to be. As I was thinking earlier about anything, there was something specific to talk about in the beginning, and anything that came to mind is something I could suggest to people to help us to kind of break the chain between how we see ourselves, the image we hold of ourselves, the picture in our mind, and the reality of us, and how to be able to let go of that picture and discover yourself, and why it seems so hard to do. Here's a nice way of looking at it that I think could be very, very helpful. I want you to picture an elephant in your mind. Everybody can do that. Everybody's seen an elephant. Maybe some of you have seen one in person. Others have seen pictures and videos and the like. Now, is that picture in your mind the actual elephant? No, it's just an image, right? And if I wanted to true up, let's say I hadn't seen an elephant in a very long time, and when I see one, I say, oh yeah, that's right, they're a lot bigger than the image I had of them in my mind. We can go back to the source of that image, which is some external object, and true it up, right? You know, the same thing happens with people you meet, you know, your friends, family, spouses, anyone. The picture you hold in your mind of them isn't them. It's a very diluted, boiled down image of them, both the image of what they look like and the body shape and all of that, but also the presence, their energy, their personas, their wit, etc. All of these are images, and for all of those, whenever we see our friend or family or something like that, or anybody, our image of them gets trued up. We see things we didn't see before. Now the picture I have of them that I walk away with, right, maybe more closer to what was there. If a long period of time goes by, we're actually, surprised when we meet them. Oh my God, they're 20 years older. They look different. Put on weight, taken off weight. Oh, you have to update the image. You got it. The image in your mind, the picture you hold of them is not them. It's only a picture of them, a reduction of them. Maybe you could even consider it an index to them. Right? All right, great. Now, picture yourself. You have an image of yourself in your mind. Right? Now, how do you true up that image? Where do you look to find the original, to find you? Like everybody else, everything else, I can go back to the original and I can true up the image and I can get it. Oh, okay, so it's more like, it's a better representation of the actual thing. How do you do that with you? You can't step out of you and look back. The thing is that with every object in the whole world, you can do that. but you can't do it with you. And as a result, this image we hold, this imaginary person in our minds, is never really trued up. It just kind of develops and accumulates stuff and other stuff, and it's never actually accurate because we've never looked at the original. Because we can't look at the original. Move this back a touch so when I move, yeah, there we go. When I move, it doesn't shake. If you hear some pounding upstairs, it's not construction. It's a 4-year-old jumping off the couch. We do satsang wherever we can. How do you true up the image? Well, just like what you've discovered to be true about other objects, that you can look at them, but you can't look at you. The first thing to recognize is that it's not you. Just like your image in the mind of an elephant is not an elephant, it's just a picture of one. The image you're holding of you isn't you. It's just a picture of you. It is accumulated stuff. The whole path of this kind of self-inquiry is to first recognize that this image in your mind is not you. Never has been, never will be. And then try to figure out how then do I come to know myself as I am? How indeed. There's nothing I can look at out there that will tell me that. Any descriptions or comparisons or anything that comes to me from out there, that can't be it either. At best, it's what other people see. I mean, a lot of people will give me their image of me, thinking that that's actually me. And most of the time, especially when we're kids and like, we listen to that. Oh, that's what I am. And we accumulate these ideas. But there comes a time when we go, wait a minute, that's everybody else's opinion. That's how everybody else sees me. And I've just taken that on my own. That this is somehow is what I am. Now the reason self-inquiry is difficult is because we're so used to referring to ourselves through the information that we've accumulated that came from outside of ourselves. And we've never learned to look directly at our actual experience of ourselves from this point of view. What do I look like from a distance of 0? I can't see my own face. I can't see my back. My hands can like disappear, suddenly come out of nowhere. I mean, that's what I actually experience, right? There's this little protrusion there. Right? I can see now and then. I can't see my eyes, my eyebrows, my forehead, any of those things. Where do you look? What is your experience of yourself? This is what self-inquiry is. What do I actually experience of me? And you'll notice, because you can't really see you can't step away from you and look at you. But we learn how to experience ourselves directly. My actual experience is, well, I am, I exist, I'm here. I experience feelings and thoughts. I have beliefs about the thoughts. this idea that these thoughts are me, which I am now seeing aren't me, I experience being aware. I experience just this sense of my own being. Remember, it's not about what we're experiencing, right? We experience emotions and thoughts and memories and projections, future, past, feelings, sensations, all sorts of things that we experience. But this is interesting. What we're interested in is the one who's experiencing it. Not the content, but the one, you, who is seeing this, who's feeling the emotions, feeling the sensations, seeing the images and the thoughts. What's seeing it when you no longer buy the story that you've been told and the image in your mind that you've been holding about yourself, which is arbitrary, imaginary, it's made up. Even if it doesn't matter how close it would be, it can't be you. It's only a reduction, just like everything else. Not being able to use the senses or the mind to know yourself, what's left? This is why it's difficult, because we're not used to exploring things without objects to look at. You can't look at you. So you have to find a different way of exploring you. Well, that's what self-inquiry is. It is you as both subject and object, but an object that is not perceivable through any of the other channels by which we know things. Yet you know that you are, don't you? There's no doubt about it. It's not a belief. It's not merely an experience. So who are you then? And this is, you'll notice that if you do that who am I kind of thing, which for a lot of people really struggle over it, but the reason it's struggling is because we're so used to answering all these questions with some object of mind, with some character, some picture, some story, some word, something. None of which applies, because that's all second-hand knowledge. That's all knowledge from someone else's perception. What is your direct perception of you? You can't perceive yourself as one thing perceives another, which means, how is it that you know that you are? Nisargadatta put it this way. He said, you are that which knows that you are. You are that awareness of yourself. You're aware of yourself. Now, the moment I say aware of yourself, immediately your mind's going to give you a picture of your body and your life and your face, and all of it, none of which are valid. You know that you're yourself. You know that you are. But it's nothing you picture. The mind can't go there. This is the deal that we just have to accept. The mind cannot go there. And the habit energy of trying to find some image to hold on to, that's the one that we struggle over. And it's just a matter of habit. It's just a matter of taking enough interest, of getting curious enough about this, that you're willing to take some time and look at it. Explore it. go through the period of discomfort, right? As your attention keeps wanting to go back to something to look at. It's why in a lot of meditation practices it starts with like breathing, right? Which is to try to, train the mind to be a little bit focused on something that's not moving, right? Not so dramatic, just repetitive over and over again. That's the purpose of mantras and all of that. But that's where it starts. Pulling attention inward to the experience of being. It's a powerful word, being. Not imagining, not believing, but being. What I am. Now, even with the objects of the world and friends and people we know and elephants, the image will never ever come close to the actual reality of it, will it? Like I said, it's like an index, right? Oh yeah, that's an elephant, that's a car, and that's a tree, and the like, but it isn't. It's like an index. It's just a representation, images that can be moved around and the like, shuffled around. No image is ever going to be able to capture it. So no idea you could come up with of yourself, nothing you could ever possibly know about yourself would come close to actually being you. The only way you could fully know an elephant is to be an elephant. The only way you can know yourself is to be yourself. How do I be myself? Well, the mere fact of asking how means you're trying to figure out some formula the mind can use to come to some kind of conclusion as to who you are. How can you have a conclusion as to who you are? There isn't. Nothing can conclude. You simply can't come to some image or concept that's it. How do you conceive of being itself? And self-aware being. Whoa. Knowing that you are. And you know that you are. So self-inquiry is setting aside this habit energy. So meditation is setting aside the habit of trying to define oneself in terms of any kind of object or form, anything that can take a shape. And instead, focusing yourself on this shapeless, indescribable, but obviously true, simple presence of you. And in a short time, if it's sincere and if it's persistent, things will fall away. It'll get easier and easier to just kind of go into this emptiness and recognize that all these thoughts and the like, there's nothing wrong with them. Fine, there's images, like an image of me, fine. Right? Well, it's not me. I know it's not me, it's just an image, and it'll change like it always has. It can be useful at times, and I know people have images of me, right? And so I can communicate with them, and maybe even get them to let go of their image of me, but more importantly, their image of themselves, and instead just begin to enjoy the emptiness of being. The emptiness which is freedom. You're not stuck anywhere. You're not compressed anywhere. You're not in a jar. You're free. And you always have been, and you always will be, when we believe I am this image I have in my mind, it feels as if everything is contracted, stuck, and in fact you're not. You're only stuck by your belief in a self-image that is in fact not you. I hope that way of looking at it helps kind of break the spell that the image in our mind is anything but an image, a reference, an index to something else. It's never the actual thing. Never. And that applies to absolutely everything. But most important, applies to you. You can't know yourself through the mind. Yet you know you are. You don't need your mind to know that. The only reason we use the mind is to get ourselves back to the point where we realize that the mind won't do the job. You hit the end of knowledge, which is what Vedanta means, the end of knowledge. That is, knowledge based on the subject-object relationship, and advaita is the knowledge based on not to. Me, aware of me. And that's not this guy, the me that's aware of me is still me. It is one. Well, I'm now going to take a sip of my iced coffee. Maybe I should take the straw out and just, oh, I love the straw though. I don't know if you can hear the 4-year-old feet. She could be dancing too. All of a sudden it's dancing as her big sister suddenly would just break into song and dance through the living room. And it's amazing how heavy the footprint. Did I just break something? No. Footprint can be of a 4-year-old. It's amazing. My son was, like 6 feet. He's not a small guy. He's very soft. Anyway, let me go back and say hello to everyone and welcome questions, comments, reactions to that. Was that a helpful thing to do as an exercise? Because it helps set the context for this whole thing that we're doing, which is to try to, where the hell am I in all of this? I got to be more than my resume, my CV. Right? All right, there's Roberto. Hello. Oh, back in Madrid. Eva, everybody in Poland. There's David and Elaine. Hello, guys. Can't stay long, but wanted to say hi. Well, hi. Good day. It's so good. Always good to see you guys. Daryl and Marilyn. Crisp, sunny. Well, it's been really cold and rainy and just constantly raining all through Halloween. The parental challenge to how to get them out there when the weather's horrible, because they want to go out there, but they worked it out. They were really good about it. They had contingency plans. There's Carl in Ireland. Christina, yay. Tea with G. I love today's topic. Miss Nay. Happy Sunday, G, and all. Happy Sunday to you, Nay. And yeah, our clocks went back last night here, which was good, because yesterday, I could tell you a story, but I'm going to just keep it to myself. It was a tough day. What can I say? A lot of unexpected things happened. Patricia, so good to see you. Hello, much love to all. There's Ida Catherine. I love GP. Thank you so much for showing up and reminding us. Forever grateful. Warm readings to everyone here. And Megan, all right. Well, it is time for you now to stump the guru. Play Stump the Guru. No, maybe you're all just pondering the exercise I just gave you. If any questions pop up or different ways you might want to be able to handle that, just let me know. That's what I'm here for. In the meantime, I'll see if there's anything else for me to say or sip on my beverage. How's the sound? So I never can hear it on my side. Disabled with life. I have no idea what that means. Seems okay from here. I'm gonna bring it down a touch. I don't want it distorting. Yeah. Well then, who are you? Does this help approach that question without getting entangled in all of the concepts that we hold of ourselves? And for many, the spiritual path is trying to find the perfect concept. I used to think that truth was something I would eventually know. And that stuck with me for a very long time. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay, I gotta know the truth. But the truth has to be about you, the truth of you. That, I just thought at some point, that's it. I got it. And I had numerous experiences where I got it. It was, and there it was. Perfect, open, fluid, and one with everything, and then it was gone. Get the concept back. It never dawned on me until much later that it's not a concept, it's being. It's my life. It is myself. There is no concept of me that would ever be adequate, that would ever, even the I that says, I get it, isn't me. It's just a thought of I, right, jumping on an experience and interpreting it from the place of the conceptual sense of my being, the conceptual me, the person that I believe myself to be. Even after some very deep and significant spiritual experiences, there was an I that had spiritual experiences looking for the ultimate, definitive spiritual experience. The spiritual experience to end all spiritual experiences, the ultimate of the ultimate, right? And they were all just experiences. Until the deeper meaning of non-duality and advaita and these kinds of things, even though I didn't know what the words were at that time, began to unfold. It isn't an idea. It's not a concept. It's not something you know. God is not the ultimate answer, the ultimate concept, the ultimate idea, the ultimate meaning. It is the truth of myself. Living truth. Not a conceptual idea of truth, but a living, breathing thing. Not even a thing. Just pure being itself. And here's being. It's not conceptual. It's not. It's just here. And even deep sleep, or you're knocked out for an operation or something. You still are. The body falls away. They call it death. You still are. You just are. You and being are one. And being is truth. Truth is being. Sat Chit Nanda, being, consciousness, bliss, being, Sat is also truth. It's also reality. So truth and being are one. So eventually my attention turned more towards that which is experiencing and not the experience itself. Who's having these experiences? Well, I am. The moment I say that, the mind is there, right? With who this I is. Oh, yeah, you're having these experiences. But then you realize that that too is being experienced. The mind's version, this imaging that we hold of ourselves. I'm experiencing that as well. I'm still here. I don't go anywhere. What is this I? This essential I? Self-inquiry and self-realization is that, the true I. The focusing of the true I, finding that the true I is looking for the true I. The true I is meditating. The true I is doing the self-inquiry, because the false I is just an image. There's nobody there. Can't talk. A thought has no sentience. It's not experiencing anything. So the person you believe yourself to be isn't meditating, isn't doing self-inquiry. It can't. Let's see. Ava says the sound is okay. David and I, to be reminded that we are not an object of experience is always valuable and appreciated. It's a joy to hear the little dancing feet. I don't think it's dancing now. It's just, dancing's got another little pattern to it, but they do love. The older one just loves to perform. Ballet and musical theater and that sort of thing. All right. Nay. Hey, G, I don't really know how to describe it, but there's a sense of being lost. Not striving or becoming feels like there's nothing left to do. Thankfully, there's freedom to enjoy and experience. So the question of what do I do now and the anxiety that comes with it aren't that strong. However, the sense of loss still shows up. And I've noticed the mind creating lists and what ifs to trigger striving, overdoing, tail chasing, etc. I'm assuming this is normal and just adjustments to the path, but any advice on navigating? Oh God, this is not normal. You're not normal. Oh no. Of course it's normal. It happens, right? Yes. Especially in the beginning, when we realize all the effort and striving, all the stress we've created for ourselves, and we encounter this idea of being, doer in perfect freedom and perfect peace. In the beginning, because our understanding is still immature, we immediately go to the opposite. Well, I don't do anything then, right? And the truth is, it's the middle way. Right? There isn't anything left to do from the sense of that's speaking from the ultimate position. That there's not anything left to do. There was never anything to do it in the first place. Right? But the experience of that, the manifestation of that, is what we call doing. It's kind of doing without a doer. Now, leave that as a concept, it would be very, very confusing, right? So there's this feeling of nothing left to do, which really means there's freedom of choice, there's freedom of experience. There's not this burden of, I have to do this, I must do this, or else. You can always tell if there's an or else to it. It is the ego, right? And the habit energy that drives us, that if we just do enough, we'll get to that place where I feel valuable and lovable and all of that, and that kind of thing. And as that's falling away and you feel the freedom that you didn't feel before, the advice is simply be patient. Continue the work you've been doing with me. Continue the emotional healing part, and continue the inquiry. Because your true nature is not confused. It's not lost. I mean, are you lost? There's a sense of being lost in, I don't know what the hell to do, right? However, you're not lost, right? You're here, you're right here, experiencing this adjustment to a very different way of being in your life. There are times when I find, I used to try to make lists, right? And I'd run across them 6 months later. I gave up on that. But there was still a need to be kind of more organized and get things together, because I could easily let things slide. So now I find that if I do make a list, I actually do it. I check things off quickly, or not always right away, but I go back enough that I notice, this doesn't matter really. And it's off the list. But then I don't make them. See, everything now becomes just a tool for your life. And what's also being adjusted is your vision for your life. What do I do now is answered by your priorities. I guess I don't have anywhere else to go on a Sunday. The place I go to do my live streams on my class is Wednesday and Saturday. It's this wonderful little coffee shop. They've got little rooms where you can actually close the door. You're welcome to stay in there as long as you want. And it's relatively quiet. Sundays, I don't. I don't have that. I will. It will be better, I think, next, hopefully this week. But as I say, life, well, if Krishna can give satsang on a battlefield, I guess I can do it with a bunch of people running around upstairs and vacuum cleaners. It is Sunday after all, right? So we're in church, but the church is, they've got the vacuum cleaners out. And then anyway, where was I? Right. The more you are committed, as you really are, Nay, to knowing yourself as you are and being free from pain and suffering, the more that's your focus, and the more willing you are to let go of those things that are creating pain and suffering, that we just didn't know it, some things that we can get quite attached to. That effort, which is grace, which is the Lord leading you, will reset all the priorities. And little by little, eventually, not necessarily slowly, a very natural order will emerge. And it will work for a while, and get a little weirded out and chaotic and grow into something else. Because that's the nature of things, it's forever changing. But you, yourself, will be aware of the unchanging you. and allow the manifestation to take place just as it does, recognizing that the manifestation is taking care of your human life. This effort, the inquiry, is itself invoking the loving care of God to take care of your human life, as well as see that within your human life is the continual giving of opportunity to know yourself as you actually are, not through concepts, but through your own being. To know yourself as the changeless center in the midst of a constantly, forever changing universe. A universe that is emanating right from you, not the you think you are. The you think you are is also emanating from this absolute perfect center, which is you, the real I, the only I, from which everything is emerging. For many, that's hard to grasp. Really, all the shitty stuff, all the crap, all of that. Well, yeah. Is it actually all that bad? Is it crap? Is it? You know, I mean, the crooked politician, which is almost all of them, the authoritarian tyrants, the greedy. That too? Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because our moral sense is just is grounded in something much deeper. You know, slavery used to be a fact of life, right? And in the West, in the United States, where I don't know the most about, it was justified by the Bible, right? The authority behind why slavery was okay, because it's the ultimate authority, etc., etc. Right? And the Bible is okay with it. It's quite okay with it. No issue whatsoever. It was just a fact of life throughout human history. But somewhere in the late 1700s and into the 1800s, something woke up in us, and the moral repulsion of the idea of one human being owning as property another human being, or children being property, or your wife being property, was repugnant. It was grotesque. It was immoral. And now suddenly, little by little, slavery became this horrible thing. Well, people then had to renegotiate their ultimate authority, which they lean on the Bible for. Oh, the Bible never approved of slavery. It was always the leading edge trying to get rid of slavery, which it never was. But it's the central authority to justify those things. But what actually happened? Something in us woke up. It just ain't right. And this is the awakening. This is on an individual level. You are kind of at the leading edge, recognizing that, just the wealth inequality isn't right. It's immoral. That constantly sucking resources out of the earth and damaging the environment, it's not moral. It's insane. It's stupid. We can look around and we can see that. And we can go, why did God allow this? Or we can say, I can see now that this is wrong, from a place where the system itself justifies this and says it isn't, just like slavery. There's no difference. And so you begin to see that you are now beginning to look at the world, at this functioning, at what is the manifestation, but through different eyes. from a higher level of consciousness. And if you can just imagine that what God represents is the ultimate level of consciousness in which everything is an emanation of myself, I can take the task on even more seriously of ridding myself of any concept, idea, or belief in an other. One I, one consciousness, one being. And it is my sense of myself here, others there, that exist independently and objectively from me. That's my idea of the world. And that idea isn't true. And so I'm going to have all sorts of ideas about what it is. I'm going to experience all sorts of things as this other that's operating and all these characteristics. And I'm just going to bring it back home to me. How'd I see it? And to see it from this place of oneness of being, that this is simply the dream. And you can do that not as a concept, but as a reality. This, what I'm seeing in going on in the world is not the reality. Just like the image I held myself is not the reality, which I'm inquiring into, that same inquiry eventually includes the world. After a time of meditating while I was on retreat in Sahaja, coming down one of the hills, that's all there is there. I just happened to walk in. There's a bell they put out there for somebody. If you feel like it, just ring it. It's right by the Yogi Bhavan. And right next to it is this sign that I hadn't seen before. I looked at it and it said, my me includes the whole world. Wow. It was crystal clear. It was like a reinforcement for the meditation I had been engaged in the Advaita temple. Yes, my me. But what I loved so much about it, it wasn't a detachment. It wasn't. It's all just an illusion. It's all just a dream. It was my me. My liberated sense of me includes the whole world. It isn't just me. I'm liberated. No. The I has been liberated. And through those eyes, the world ceases to look like it does. It changes right before our very eyes, because it's not a reality separate from our perception of it. There's something Buddha said that I've quoted it numerous times, and it is so worth contemplating. He said, when I attained the great unparalleled enlightenment, simultaneously all beings attained the great unparalleled enlightenment. I think that's what he was pointing at. When we see it through the eyes of God, rather than through the eyes of the striver trying to get to God, the world will not look like what we believe it to be. And your me, which is the me, which is the one I, which is God, includes the whole world. Your me is the me, the I. And it's like that. It's not like vacuous and empty. It's empty of all definition, and it is myself. Beyond that, because even putting the word me to it, but that's how it manifests, as me, as a me coming from the me, the great, the only I am. Well, I guess it was enjoyable for me to kind of wander off on that. Thank you for that, Nay. Hopefully it was helpful, and just to kind of reinforce it. Yeah, it's totally normal, love. Totally normal. Everything are you experiencing it? It's normal. And you know, one of the key roles of the teacher is to help you with these places going, wow, this is so different. Is this supposed to be happening? Am I doing it right? And the answer is yeah, it's supposed to be happening. You are doing it right. You're not messing it up. And it's the job of the teacher to go, yep, it's okay. Yep, it's okay. Yes, this is what happens. And the only reason the teacher can do that is because they were in that position, and some teacher said, yeah, it's okay, keep going. And sometimes that teacher takes an actual physical form as a guru. Sometimes it's just an inner voice that goes, yeah, just keep going. It's right. Just keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Your sincerity, your earnestness will pay off. You won't be hung out to dry. Victoria. So you let me know if that worked for you. Worked for you, Nay. Hi, G. Hi, Victoria. Sometimes one can reach for non-duality when stuck on emotional work on a specific matter. Your view? How to avoid using it for numbing the emotions in a certain way? Well, first thing I want to say is thank you for that question. And it illustrates to me, and should bring comfort to you, that the very fact you're willing to ask that question means you're not doing it. Because if you were, you wouldn't be asking the question. You wouldn't be questioning it. You wouldn't be wondering. You've gotten to the point where you're not shying away from any emotional work that must take place, and are cautious about using non-dual speak and ideas and concepts as yet another way to suppress painful emotions rather than heal them. Now, the inquiry will heal those emotions, but not everybody is ready to get there straight away. That's why I do it the way that I do it. I used to just try, let's go right to the absolute. Oh, God, it was a total failure. A total failure. In fact, I began to recognize that I was actually confusing. I was causing more pain, that it wasn't any good. And I backed away from all of it for a while. Now I found this road. Those that are ready can inquire in the midst of emotional pain, memories, traumas, and things that arise. You can inquire, to whom is this happening? Without trying to make them go away, and that's the key. If I'm willing to be present with these feelings, to look them straight in the eye, yep, you are here. I see you. I recognize what you're about, what you've come from, where you've come from, that this is conditioning. And it's not me, because I can look at it, yet there's a personal sense of suffering there that I need to look at. In that sense, you can be glad the suffering sense came up, because it reveals in us the place we are still identified as a form, as the person. It's good. Now that's a much more mature place to be. That's my level 3. Although it can happen at any time. It has nothing to do with where you are. But I had to make it methodical enough that it would it would appear to be a nice, clear path. And it isn't, as you know. So, if you're at a point where you would use the self-inquiry when suffering came up as an opportunity to deepen your self-realization, your self-inquiry, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Right? And I would recommend to my more mature and advanced students like you to try and to be aware. And if you're aware of the sense of, I really want to get rid of this, but don't just immediately drop back into the emotional healing because, well, yeah, of course I do. I want to be free of suffering. It's just for the longest time, I believed that to get free of suffering, I had to change the conditions. And I recognize now that doesn't eliminate suffering. Maybe a temporary relief, often not, but I'm looking for the permanent relief from suffering. And that is always identification with conditioning. I'm seeing myself as someone suffering. Back to what I talked about at the beginning, the image of in my mind is of someone suffering, trying to get out of suffering. Is that who I am? It's not that this is all roses. This hurts. It's painful. It sucks. And I want to be free. That's not using non-duality to get out of it. But if you'll sense when it's like, oh, it isn't real, it's just an illusion, you know I'll call bullshit on that anyway. You're calling bullshit on it, because it is bullshit. It's an embrace of your human life. Yes, there is suffering here. Right? There's all these feelings and the like. Now looking carefully and closely at it, you see, there is discomfort, there's pain, there's a sense of being frozen, right? Trauma, there's a sense of being lost, confused, afraid. All of those feelings are there. Right. There's the sense of suffering over it because I want to be free of it. That's also there. Of course, nobody wants to sit in that. Right? Now, without pushing any of it away, recognize that, all right, all of these feelings are here. I'm not diminishing any of them. They all suck mud. They're horrible. Where's the sufferer of them? And notice that there's a sufferer there is really inferred. It's a concept, it's an idea, it's an assumption. All of the elements that make up what they call the sufferer, the feelings, the thoughts, the memories, the sensations, the constrictions, all of that is there. We can look at it and say, there it is. And then I would say, show me the sufferer. In the same way, you can point to, I want to be free of it. All of those quite clearly, right? The concept in my head, I can look at those and go, yes, that is a yearning, that is pain, that is loss, that is grief. I can identify all of those clearly. No need, no problem whatsoever. Now, the sufferer, the one who's suffering it, can you, with that same kind of precision, identify that? And then you begin to realize that it's an idea, it's an assumption about the experience of them. And you can't find a sufferer. But the mind will go, yeah, well, I'm suffering. Right. So my sense of I is of the sufferer, but that's a sense. That's my self-image of the sufferer. Is the self-image me? No, it's just an image. So am I the sufferer, or is the sufferer simply an idea, a concept that's just never been questioned and isn't actually real? Which means all of these things happening and no suffering. Am I invulnerable to suffering? Am I invulnerable to being moved? Am I shifted? Am I changed? Even while all of this is happening. And what happens when the sufferer disappears? Well, there's no suffering. And if there's no sufferer, and there's not a sense of suffering there, suddenly your view of all of these things that are happening shifts. The constriction is no longer a problem I've got to get rid of. It's just a condition that needs my love. The body-mind becomes a rescue dog that you're saving, that you're the rescuer. You're not suffering the dog's pain. You're aware of that pain, deeply aware, deeply compassionate, empathetic. You're not suffering it anymore. From here, as this free being, you bring that freedom to all of this. And then, miraculously, you find that without that feedback loop of the sufferer trying to get rid of it all, that the constrictions lessen, they open, they expand, because they're not being held anymore by this concept of me, the sufferer, and then trying to get rid of them. Are you following that? Victoria added, actually, I came to non-duality after emotional work and very much inclined to emotional work. It's just that sometimes you can be tempted to go the non-duality when I'm tired of the tapping or the other. Yeah. But you know what? At your stage, my dear, I wouldn't worry about that. And, you know, at least for the time being, I'm your teacher, and I won't let that happen. So it's okay. It's safe to explore what's beyond emotional healing. It's there. It's a tool you got. Right? But you could say tempted to go non-duality when you're tired of the tapping, tired of the emotional releasing stuff. Maybe. Right? It may not be that at all. It may be that you've started to outgrow that, and you may be ready for taking some steps beyond that, right? To the point where ultimately you won't need to tap. You won't need the emotional work. Right? Because remember, at the heart of the emotional work, which was level 2, right? Reconnecting to your true authentic self, right? That has been buried by all of our identification with conditioning. Okay? It's just that as the emotional work concludes, I mean, right? Self-help is a lifetime sentence. It's not supposed to just go on and on and on. There's an end game, right? The emotions become freed. You recognize the healing becomes emotional freedom, right? EFT, tapping, emotional freedom. That's what it's about. And once you're free, you don't need the technique anymore. And so you're being freed from the emotional stuff. And where does this freedom take you? Well, it takes you beyond the sense of the true authentic self being my persona, which is liberated by all of this, and you become more you, more Victoria, more Jill, more Nay, more me. And it begins to expand, and you see, the true authentic me is a whole lot bigger than I thought it was. And the more you know who you are, the less emotional pain and suffering there is. Simply because the pain and suffering has all been a disconnect from who you actually are, from your soul, from your true authentic being, at whatever level that you understand that. And so, actually I meant tapping on a specific matter. Tapping on the specific matter, yeah. Sometimes, remember, every technique that we use, I don't care what it is, from the most mundane, visualizing or something like that, up to emotional energy healing, like tapping, which is a very advanced thing, as far as I can see, meditation, even self-inquiry, right? They're different levels of the healing and the freedom. And all of the techniques we use are techniques. They're temporary. They're not made to be done for life. Right? And once a particular technique has done its job, it will not work anymore because it's not the tool for this any longer. And it isn't like that one day, oh, no more of this. It's kind of back and forth, some things. So, and the other things, it's like, no, I'm just gonna settle into this, to inquiring into who's the sufferer here. Where is the sufferer? What is the sufferer? What's the nature of suffering at all? And so sometimes when you're tired of it, or I'm not getting anywhere, it means that it's not like you're doing it wrong, or you should double down or something like that. It's just, maybe it's not going to work now. Maybe just open yourself up to the bigger toolbox, recognizing that everything, all healing modalities, all techniques, spiritual or psychological or emotional, are leading to self-inquiry, which is the ultimate. Self-inquiry and devotion. Devotion not to another, but to your true authentic being. Where am I headed to? Well, the place, my origin, where I came from. I'm going back home. I'm going back to me. And it's like you would take on a sense of sacredness and worship of the awareness that is you, even as you're inquiring into. And because the inquiry must be animated by love. Yeah. And everything you're doing for yourself is actually love. The attempt to healing is moved by love. It's the love you actually have of yourself. Even though it may feel, I hate myself, I want to get out of this, I need to be different. The very energy of wanting to go beyond is love. It is love. You are love. And so it is, a specific matter. Well, everything is a specific matter, right? Right now, it's a specific matter. And all we ever have to deal with is what's here right now. So when something comes up, you may get the impulse to just sit with it, look at it, watch it, allow it to be there, and notice that you can just allow it to be there. But sometimes it's really painful, and you can go, okay, from whom is this pain happening? Me. I'm aware of the pain. Am I that pain? Well, I'm not that pain because it's coming and going, and I'm not. It came. I was there before it came. It'll go at some point, and I'll still be here. Right? So who's actually suffering? Is there a sufferer here? Right? And you can do that. And sometimes it can be really overwhelming. Sometimes it takes 3 deep breaths. Take some deep breaths and just an intention. Just let it all go. all of the self or the spirit shit. Ah, fuck, let it go. I don't care. Leave me alone. I'm gonna watch Netflix. Fine. At some point, you may be, this has happened to me. Oh God, enough. And after about 30 minutes of, I can't find anything that interests me. All right, okay, I get it. That was a distraction. Let's re-enter the storm here and see what happens, right? Okay, that was just me. Okay, I had my breather. My equivalent of going to take a hot bath or something like that. Next, Netflix therapy. Yeah. It's, yeah. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's fun. And I go up and sit with my son. I guess one night when their mother, Heidi, goes to dance. She loves to dance, right? Dances, Latin dances and things like that. The group actually, to go to contests and things like that. She's really into it. So like, I think it's Wednesday night. She's out. So we move the table into the living room where the TV is, and we eat and watch some cartoon. It's going to be something that the kids pick out. Fortunately, sometimes it's actually, I can actually endure it. Other times it's, where's my phone? It's just wonderful. Right? Just forget about everything. Yeah. And we've put so much pressure on ourselves to get better. The conditioning that happened, that was all a result of not being enough in the first place, and I had to be better because I wasn't acceptable as I am. All it does is increase the very stress and environment that created this kind of trauma in the first place. And by trying so hard, and it transfers over. Now I've got to be more spiritual. I've got to do more meditation. I've got to do it. And it's the same damn pressure. That's why sometimes the best mantra is just, fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Just fuck it. I made a video about that because this is about taking off the pressure. It's about self-acceptance. It's about self-love. Not a self that you have to become in order to be lovable, but to love yourself. Even the human messed up, crazy part, instead of, I've got to learn I got to eat better. I got to take more care of this. I got to make better decisions. I've got to keep things neat and tidy. No, you don't. Accepting yourself as you are is what opens the door to discovering how much more that you are than what you thought. So that's love. Right? It is non-dual. Right? And it is emotional healing. If I can accept myself at my worst, right? How much more will I accept myself at my best? But I can't get to my best by denying my worst, by pushing away, by diminishing it, by straining and struggling to get rid of it in some way, to be something lovable and perfect. And just say, fuck it. This is me. In all my imperfection. At least I thought it was imperfect. Maybe it's not. In fact, if somebody can give me a concrete definition of perfect, what perfect actually is, I'm happy to apply it to you. But since no one's been able to do that so far, my conclusion is, well, then perfect must be what you are. Nobody can tell me what it's supposed to be. It's got to be this. Then this is it. So you've been perfect the whole time. I just digressed a bit. One more comment here from Victoria. But I started to see the outgrowing it for certain parts of me. Yes. Isn't it great? Yes, everybody, self-healing, emotional healing, even non-dual self-inquiry is not forever. There's an end game. It's called freedom. It's called self-awareness. It's called self-realization. The seeking phase is a phase we all must go through. We must. Nobody gets a pass. So we learn to fall in love with the process itself, with this moment. What, am I showing up at this moment as a struggling, seeking person trying to get rid of everything? Or am I showing up as the self, who I really am, loving, compassionate, caring, accepting, inquiring, curious, however that might appear? Because the truth is, that is who you are. That is what's appearing. That is what's looking at this. There's not a person here that's trying to get better. That's how it appears, and that's the experience that's being had by you. So you even wanting to be emotionally free is the self appearing. It's not Victoria trying to get to the self. It's the self, the reality, God, experiencing herself as Victoria, going through this. This is what it's always been. Victoria is the character on the screen. The reality of Victoria is the screen. The emanation of the self. And you're going to experience it as outgrowing. And it's good. Yeah? We get this idea that the self-help is forever. Oh, the next thing that comes, the next thing that comes. And there's this promise of suddenly. It can't disappear as long as it's a technique being done by a person. But when it is a realization being brought about by that which is being realized, whoa, it's completely different. You can show up as the self, even if it seems like you're a total mess. There are times when I show up, I'm a total mess. I was not great shape this morning. A couple of days of chaos, all sorts of things happened that I was not expecting, came totally out of nowhere, and I actually had to move a bunch of stuff. I had to even cancel my class yesterday to do it, and I went from early in the morning till late at night to get it out, to get what I had done when I had to. So when I got up this morning, I went to the gym. No, I'm not going to cancel it again. No, we're going to do it. So I was a mess when I showed up. And I just gave it to God. You take care of these guys. I can't do it. So it's not the mess that's giving satsang for, thank God. I've heard satsangs being given by people, by the mess rather than by the Lord. Anyway, let me go back because I think I missed some things from Nay. Let's see. I feel like a lot of it is tied to worth. There's a knowing of inherent worthiness, yes. But at times, striving for a form to represent it as proof still comes up. Good! You see it coming up, right? It's about looking, remember? To quote my teacher, I don't care about your answer. I'm not interested in your answer. I'm only interested in your looking, to look. There's something in me that says, yes, there's inherent worthiness. And you can feel the truth of that, even though your whole experience of life and the residue of it and stuff that's coming up even now says that's not true. And if I believe just what's coming up, the feelings, the thoughts, the experiences, the traumas, all of that stuff, then I'm going to say, oh, it's not true. I'm going to get to inherent worthiness, which of course isn't inherent at all. It's earned worthiness, right? But so this sense of inherent worthiness is not coming from out there, is it? It's coming from you, which means it is your inherent worthiness breaking through these clouds, right? And so there's a sense there that, okay, it's tied to worth. And now we're going to want to think about this. How can we're going to start figuring it out. The only reason that you're doing this and asking about inherent worthiness is because it's been inspired by the inherent worthiness and the fact that you have accepted it. And now you're in the process of dismantling all of the old habits and patterns that were based on the assumption that worthiness was something that was gained and not something that was inherent. And yes, time striving for a form to represent it as proof still comes up. Yep. Right. And notice what the assumption is. That the form that's appearing right now, the nay we all know and love, isn't that. Oh, she's not the perfect, which means there's some idea of what that perfect form, who has inherent worthiness, would look like. But you are that, you are the inherent worthiness, so this is what it looks like. Right? Oh yeah, I am that inherent worthiness. And there's just, the rescue dog. Oh, I'm not worthy, take what I can get, whatever, I'm going to hide, and everything. That's the rescue dog. You, as inherent worthiness, step into it. Because it's, in your heart it's true. But the thing is that our minds, right, say, well, it can't be true. I need evidence. And then the mind looks for evidence, and you know what happens. You go searching for it endlessly, and you try to do this and this, and it doesn't quite work. But no, you are the evidence of your inherent worthiness. As it said, it's a famous quote from St. Paul. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. A beautiful translation I saw of it a long time ago in the Amplified Bible. It said, faith, perceiving as actual fact that which is invisible to the senses. Your faith is your seeing of your inherent worthiness, your inherent value, the value of you. Even if you have no idea what that is, it doesn't matter. The value's still there, right? If I don't know this is a diamond, it's still a diamond, and it has all the value of a diamond. How much more are you worth, right? So the very substance of the form will be driven by your recognition of inherent worthiness, just like the form was driven by your assumption of being unworthy and needing to attain it. The form took that shape. Now, as your attention is becoming more aware of you as you actually are, and it is inherent, stick with it. Faith, substance, this is what will make the form begin to conform to it. But if you keep thinking, the form is, it's got to be there or I am not there, you've short-circuited it. Because now the faith isn't there. So there's no substance there to manifest. And it is the very evidence of your faith in this inherent worthiness is the evidence of it. Even though it's invisible to the senses, it's invisible to the mind, it's impalpable, it's imperceivable by the senses or the mind. Let's see what else. Thank you for mentioning looking at things through the eyes of God. Yes, well, that's, the truth is you always are, because that's who you are. You're just thinking it's these other eyes. But when we see all these things, oh, I must not get it yet. Well, who's that? It's just a thought. That's all it is. When feeling worthy or confident, and even being audacious to expecting good things, triggers a shutdown and a sense of a small, separate self. Yeah, I guess this is resistance, and I can allow it instead of fighting it to be non-dual. Thank you for your response. Yeah, oh, don't fight it. It always wins. When you fight it, it always wins. Because it knows how to fight. It loves a good fight. Come on, put them up, yay. What it has no defense against is unconditional love and acceptance. Which is just coming, you don't even have to try. Right? You just keep remembering, right? It's always God doing it. It is always God. It is God that recognizes inherent worthiness, not a person. I say, my knowing of it is the presence of the Lord. God is the all-knowing. That is you. Right? Let it unfold. Right? And so when you look at things, when you feel worthy or confident, even being audacious, right? And then suddenly it triggers a shutdown. What it means is that you're looking for the sense of inherent worthiness to always be a feeling of worthy and confident. But your inherent worthiness, your inherent nature is there, whether worthiness and confidence is being experienced or whether total contraction and withdrawal is being experienced. Right? We have to be careful. So recognize the non-dual position is where no manifestation is it. It is only an appearance. The more I am centered in it, the God within, the more there will be feelings of worthiness and confidence, but it's not the same. It's got such a deep humility to it. It's got such a deep sense of that you won't even call it that. Okay, it's not confident. I just am this. Worthy, not worthy? Huh? They cease to have any meaning whatsoever. And it's just peace and love. Oh, enormous love. God. Unfathomable love. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Where do we go from here, kids? Scroll down. Make sure I covered everything. Also, just remembered non-dual awareness and teachings found me less than a year ago. So to be where I am now and navigating it is a gift. Yes. Yes. It was time. Everything comes in the right time. I used to think you're trying to make things happen. I don't anymore. People say, gee, you're so patient. I go, no, I'm not. No. I'm just not waiting for anything to happen. I know I can't control it. I don't know my next thought's going to be, my next word. I don't know anything, really. That sense of I. And the knowing, the all-knowing God, Ishvara, the ultimate, pure awareness, isn't collecting data. It is a spontaneous knowing that is simply right now. It isn't memory. And so this moment is unfolding exactly as it is, so I can say I don't know anything and I know everything. In the emptiness is the substance of everything, and the sadhana is the faith, the devotion, the inquiry, the precision, this beautiful thing that unfolds to you because you are ready. You're ready. In a sense, you could say you earned it. Not in ways that you'd be aware, and nothing you could brag about. Oh yeah, it's a real compliment, I already accomplished it. No, because you didn't in that sense. It's just that grace has been at work at you for lifetimes. And in this one, it's taken its final form. The one that will take you the rest of the way there. And maybe this life or the next. I doubt if it'll be more than that. Yeah. But why not now? That's what I say. Why not now? I'm holding out for now. Yeah. I mean, the truth is true now, right? It's always true. It was true then, from the past. It will be true in the future. It's true now. That's it. I'm discovering what's true now. And if, in my experience, that becomes self-realization a lifetime or two from now, it doesn't matter. It's now. It's just now. And the truth is always now. And how it unfolds and manifests itself in your life, which is the path of awakening, which is just the reality of the forever self-realized manifesting itself as going asleep and waking up. Yet it's never been anything but what we would call awake. It's beyond even awake. How can you call it awake? Compared to what? It just is. You just are. Whew. All right. Let's see. Back to Jill, because I missed Jill before. Look at this. I'm not overwhelmed with questions, so I can actually I get too many. Oh God, where was I again? I forgot. I can't hold that much in my head anymore. It's either getting old or I simply don't give a shit anymore. No, it's not that. I don't care. I don't mind. I don't mind. That's the difference. It's not, I don't care. I don't care about what I do care deeply. I just don't mind. I accept. Lord, it's Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. If it was possible for this cup to pass from me, please take it. If I can not do this, if I don't have to go through this, but not my will, but thine be done. Whatever. Because there is really no me. There's only you. Anyway, Jill. Hi, G. You said the other day something that struck me deeply, is that everything leads back to the core trauma of I'm not lovable. I'd love for you to just pontificate on it. Gave me a lot of relief. Pontificate. I like that. I get up my pontiff hat. The first American pontiff who's already being severely criticized by the left wing here in the U.S. anyway, because he was talking about the immorality of the economic system. And this is a big deal because the Catholic Church has always been a co-conspirator. It's always been a cooperator with the most horrible regime. So to see that kind of conscious awakening taking place from an American Pope it's heartening. Christ is coming back to his church. Not the way people think, but he's definitely coming back. Anyway, yes, the core trauma was I'm not lovable. I'm not enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. I've got to earn it. Now, where does that come from? It doesn't come out of nowhere, right? But if you realize that, before I go into the other spot, that it's a trauma is a place in the system, the nervous system, the body-mind functioning, that gets stuck in a position, right, and can't move anymore. Now, the stuckness is a deep assumption. I call them energetic assumptions because they're not assumptions as consciously yet. There is no real word for it. Right? It is simply the state that the nervous system gets into in order to be able to be safe within the environment. And that becomes a pattern of behavior and response to the environment, based on the environment, meaning some parts of me are okay, most aren't, and they have to be pushed away. And so I'm going to create a false version of me and forget that I created it. Well, you didn't create it. There was nobody there creating it. It is simply the functioning of the system. And it becomes an assumption about the nature of reality. The nature of reality is I'm separate from all this. I'm dependent and powerless on them, which is true at the time. Right? That if I was lovable, I would have gotten all of these things because I'm supposed to. I didn't. Therefore, it's not. They can't be in the wrong. I must be. So I'm not lovable. So that assumption there, I'm not lovable, if left just in its raw form, would be just so overwhelmingly crippling that you'd either be dead or not, completely and totally dysfunctional. That's the madness that we see. People actually have these deep psychological wounds. That's what it is. There's not much of a buffer. They're just barely holding on. But for most of us, what happens is that assumption, because it's so horribly painful, it needs to be hidden. And these layers of this other person that is basically getting their needs met and the like, but underneath is this influence that you're not even aware of, that I'm not enough, I'm not lovable. And so, to compensate for that, rather than, but you can't see it directly, we strive to become lovable, however that appears. I'm going to be the goody two-shoes. I'm going to do everything my parents want me to be. I'm going to be everything. It's never satisfying because the assumption is still there. I'm become an overachiever. Right? I'm really good. You even go, I'm going to meditate 3 hours a day. It seeps into our spiritual practices everywhere to attain. To attain what? Being lovable, being worth something, worthy, right? Because it's not an option. And emotional healing, whether that's coming through, the tapping, which I use, or inner reconciliation, different forms of meditation, or directly through self-inquiry, is a way of turning our attention back towards that assumption. And of course, all of this has been to keep you from doing that, because it believes that if you actually see the truth of this assumption, you're going to die or go nuts, period. So you just keep striving, and as long as you're striving, you're not looking here. And what we do is we start to look in that direction. We find there's a lot of resistance to that. And there will be, especially if your attitude and intention is to fix it and make it better, because that's what put it in that position in the first place. So it'll just like water off a duck's back. It'll just shake you off. You're useless. You can never win that. It's perfectly defended against whatever you can throw at Hence the need for this, for allowing, to learn how to be present with these feelings lovingly. So that you bring presence to Kerberos that's guarding the underworld. Those of you who don't know Kerberos, it's the dog, the three-headed dog who guards the gates of the underworld, of the dead. Very fierce, and you have to get by it to get to the meat of it. But it's really good at what it does. But you basically want to bring treats for doggy, and enough because there's 3 heads. And that's what we're doing. We're learning how to, both through just the process of opening our hearts and just realizing I can be with these uncomfortable feelings. I don't have to try to get rid of them. I can even use them as part of inquiry. Now they're serving a purpose, not just being tolerated. And the more you do that, the more it opens, because you're not threatening it. But it can take some time, because this is just too hard to see, to really recognize. Because it doesn't know it's an assumption, right? You have to realize that. This is the truth as far as it's concerned. So we're going back lovingly to this place because we've come to know that it isn't the truth. But the rest of this has got to get that message. And on the other side of that is the real you. The one that got shoved into the basement and hidden, and the false version got presented. The unconditioned original innocence is on the other side of that. It doesn't know it exists. You do. Hence that step. And that is the original trauma is the essence of the original trauma is I'm not enough as I am. I can't be anything other than what I am. I've got to hide, pretend. Now, I'm explaining it in words, conceptually, but this all happened on this other level, this other dimension of our being, that even pushed us into our head, so it makes us think, oh, I understand, when in fact you don't understand shit. We have concepts. When we take those concepts and we actually engage in this kind of inner archaeology, going back into it, which once you understand it, doesn't take a long time. And the more love you develop, the easier it gets. You see it as the rescue dog and not as you. And so you approach it with enormous love. And as that happens, more and more stuff going to come to the surface, more places that it's going to want to hide, just requirement for more love. And then you get to the root of it, the lack of self-acceptance. Well, and who's the self that I'm rejecting? Can come up. But then you see, well, how did this happen in the first place? What set it up for this whole thing to take place? And then you go into another dimension of it, which is this deeper non-dual inquiry of the not two. Because I'm not two, you're not two, are you? You are that original innocence. It's always been there. Knowing what happened. Well, underneath all of it, even original innocence, is just pure being, pure consciousness, undifferentiated. And somewhere aware of everything, right? But not aware of separation. But somewhere what appears is the I thought. And that I thought, which is not thought here yet, it's the I sense of I am consciousness, which then identifies itself with the form. And then the sense of a me as a separate entity arises out of that comes, I'm separate. What am I now is being answered by what's being thrown at you from the environment, rather than being answered by the actual you. And this is just what happens. You didn't do it. in a sense, although it's emanating from you. Don't try to figure that one out. It's just, this is what happened. What's arisen is this sense that I am separate, then I am the body. And now I am the body. I end here. No more differentiated consciousness. There's a me, and then there's a you. There's a me, and then there's a world. And in that moment, the illusion of a world comes into being as the illusion of myself as a separate object in that world. They happen simultaneously. And after lifetimes of experiencing like that, at some point, Grace says, okay, what was that? Turtle went time traveling, and Mr. Wizard, drizzle, dazzle, dazzle, home. Time for this one to come home. So Grace is kind of the drizzle, dazzle, travel, home. Yes. To be inviting you home. And your interest in this, your persistence with this, is the grace. And me appearing is this grace taking this form for you. It's grace, orchestrated by grace. The turning inward, the coming to understand, the we call it cultivating more compassion and love, but what's really happening is the clouds are parting and more of your inherent compassion and love is appearing. It's not actually being made or attained. It's emerging because it's not hidden anymore. But we see how subtle the sense of being separate operates. But the only way you can see it is if your own sense has become even more subtle and eventually merges with the ultimate, the very ground of being. And there isn't anything beyond that. There's nothing more subtle. Everything is an appearance to that. That itself can't be seen. How can it? It's you. Don't be in a hurry. It's weird because we're in a hurry. I don't want this to take a lot of time. Of course, I want quickest route to freedom. And don't be in a hurry. That is, see this moment as it is the sadhana. That is your freedom. So not awakening in the future, but awakening right now. Am I awake? Right now. Awake. There's even a very funny Zen koan of one master. Every morning, when outside, you'd hear him saying to himself, say, Master, yes, are you awake? Yes. Don't be deceived by anyone. Yes, yes. To himself, Master, yes. Are you awake? Yes. Don't be deceived by anyone. Yes, yes. Of course, this is the one we get deceived by. That I. Yeah. Who's the I behind the I? The I thought, the one seen, and the one seeing, which can't be seen. I do have one more down here that I missed. I'm Drifter. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you for sharing this lesson, G. Life has been a joy after learning and experiencing from this perspective. Hold the urge to share some gratitude today. Good. Had, not hold. Had, because you obviously didn't hold it. Who gave it? Yeah, isn't that great? And really, that's all it is. You watch the effect it has. And little by little, it's less and less about the effect and more about what's causing the effect. Because the substance of the effect is where the gold is, not the effect. Most are so intertwined in the idea of awakening that they miss this moment. Master, are you awake? Huh. Yes. I know that I am. Yes. I'm awake. The masters tell me I am really eternally awake. Okay. The other part. Then don't be deceived by anyone, anything telling you you're not. Including that voice in your own head. Are you the self or aren't you? It is a yes-no question. The Mao say, well, if you were the self, then all of this wouldn't be happening. Wouldn't be having resistance. Well, you are the self. That's the fact. So it is, I am the self, and all of this has happened. It's not, I would be, I can't be, because this is happening. Well, no, I am. That's the fact. It's the eternal truth. Can't get out of it. Nobody escapes it. And I'm experiencing as if I wasn't. Look at that. Isn't that a much more powerful approach? Isn't that a much more way of seeing it? That's, I am that. So I'm engaging with the world now, my experience, as that. I'm actually engaging with the world from the end game. And from there, I am, the real me, is dissolving everything that isn't true, revealing what's always been true, and revealing what's always been true has simply been experiencing itself as ignorant of itself and needing to remember. But reality doesn't need to forget or remember. That's an experience had by that which neither remembers nor forgets. It just is. It is just being. Just be yourself. And any thought that tells you that you're other than that, or puts conditions on it, well, if you were this, then you would be worthy. But if you were the self, if you were the perfect you, well, this would be happy. It'd be this, and it'd be wonderful, and be able to manifest, and whatever you want, and you'd never grow old. No, you are the self, and you are experiencing this. Experiencing awakening, even though you're eternally awake. Scott, I haven't seen you in a while. Do you ever do person meetings or events? I have, but as you can tell, right? According to my little counter up here, there's 17 people here. I'm not a big name. Yeah, one's everything happens the way it's meant to happen. Bodhidharma, the fellow who brought Zen, it became called Zen, form of Buddhism, the direct path form of Buddhism to China, had one student, who then became what that guy had to go through for him to be accepted as his student was something worth taking on. So when I see that, I just go, I bring that up because I'm willing to pretty much go anywhere to meet with people, but I have to be able to cover my expenses and get a little something extra. Planning an event, I simply don't have enough people that would be able to travel and show up somewhere that I could put the money into, because the hotels and everything that comes with the whole package of where you're going to meet and all of that, they want money in advance. They want at least a deposit. Right? And so it's never been possible for me to do it. I did a couple of them live a long time ago. They were okay. Small. I mean, they were great. We had a great time, but they're not huge. The one I didn't get paid anything was done through the Krishnamurti Education Center of Canada. The other was just bare minimum, which I don't mind. So if somebody can organize it, but organization is not my thing. So I love doing it. It's very fun, and it has there's another dimension to it when you get a group of people and they get you locked in a room, right? We can remove all distractions for a while and intensify the inquiry. It's very useful. I just spent 10 days doing just that with my own teacher. But he has a huge following. Right? So when he opens it up for people to come, he'll get several thousand applications for it. He has to actually turn some people away. But he's got all the facilities there for him. He's all set to go. I mean, it's all set up for him, but it's just a different world that he lives in than I do. So love to do it, and if I got enough people in one place that could, commit in advance, and pay for my expenses and give me a little left over to keep the lights on, I'll go anywhere. I'll go anywhere because I just love sharing this. Right? There's no greater joy for me than seeing that look that comes into on people's faces when suddenly something just goes click. Of course, then I see the mind go, oh, I got it. I see the eye changing shapes again. It's fine. The insight's there. It's quietly doing its work. And I did have a meetup group for a while. That again, I would only get anywhere from 3 to, I think the most I ever had was like 8 people who showed up. And that just ended with COVID, right? So, I mean, I can get library space and things like that, but there's not a lot of people near me. In fact, I just had a new student come who is actually close, maybe 15 miles away. The other nearest one is, I don't know, a couple hours away, and the rest are all over the world. So it's hard to find non-dual meetups, yeah. And you're also going to find, when you do, that you may not be getting the best teaching, because anybody can do it who's interested in it, who thinks they can do it. Some can, I'm sure, but I remember being a long time ago, going to different non-duality groups on Facebook, and I wasn't there to tell anybody what to do, just to see if there was something I could offer, to see what was going on. And I was just appalled at the atmosphere. It was just arguments about whose teacher was right, who's not, and it was nasty. It was like, Jesus, what the hell? And it is interesting because the nastiest comments I've gotten on here are from the students of other non-dual teachers that I consider not the real thing. They have the intellectual side of it down. They are fully convicted in it, and to a certain degree awake. But the heart isn't awake. And because I've never heard any of that from the teachers that I know have both sides of the equation together, the humanness and the divinity. They're not two. So maybe do something near you at a community center, also by connecting with folks in your community. So, there's another element to it. I'm 73 and I just don't have the energy to make all these things happen. It's simple as that. I just don't have the energy to do it. So I take what life has given me. I'm grateful for all of you. So grateful. I have been given folks that I can share this with who are real and authentic. Join in my classes, get into any of the groups that I have. You'll see that it is a totally loving and supportive environment. There's no criticism, there's no judgment. And that's what I've wanted. So they're not many, but they are. I would. I take that in a heartbeat over a crowd of dabblers or intellects, right, who want to engage. I had some. They came in and they were just totally intellectual about it, and that's what they wanted, and I kept pointing away from that. And this isn't for me. This is too. These guys aren't high enough for me. God bless. Won't you say that, boy? The cosmic 2x4 is on its way. It's about connecting with folks in your community on a similar path. Yep, it is. It's a great idea for online. Awakening the heart. Yeah. It's got to awaken all of you. The truth can't be the truth unless it explains and purifies and elevates and embraces everything. The only way I can make this truth work is to explain all of this away as if it's an illusion. It's not the truth. It's bullshit. It has to include it. Transcendent means nothing is excluded. Everything is subsumed into it. It's just the finer and finer place to see at the top. It is all this one. So, thank you all. Thank you for your loyalty to the truth, your sincerity. That will sustain you. It will. Protect it. Protect that with all your heart. It's the precious child. It's the Christ child, you might say. Protect it. Nurture it. Eventually worship it. The truth of you. And it will sustain you. Long after I'm gone, long after any teacher now is gone, it will sustain you, because that's the real teacher. The real guru is there in you. All right, my loves. Till next time.